My first experience was when the Bowles fire was taking off. I was busy in the house. I had no knowledge that the fire was even happening. I panicked big time. When I was a little girl, we lost our home and everything in it, with the exception of what we had on. I still get uptight every time I hear about a fire that is happening and the devastation that it does. It just, I get very emotional with that. It's something that we all need to be cautious about. My name is Betty Lees. The changes I've seen here in the 20 years that we've lived here on this property have dried out a lot. We used to get 10 feet of snow here every winter for probably about the first 6-7 years that we were here. Recently, we get like 3.5 feet, so there's a lot less moisture that we have. The trees that were dying and the brush growing up was fuel for fire right away. And we're at a point that we can't clean up as much as we want to.
So Hammond Ranch Fire's been serving the Hammond Ranch area since 1989 with a 30 square mile response area. Entirely volunteer-based department, so there's no paid staff here. We do everything basically in between jobs. With that being said, because we are a volunteer-based department, it is super important to have fuels reduction projects around the Hammond Ranch area, not only to mitigate the possibility of a large campaign fire developing in our residential area, but to give us more time to get to a fire before it's out of control. Those fuels reduction projects are based solely on grants that either come from the federal or state government. The more we get, the better, safer our area is.
My name is Randy Cloco. For about 18 years now, I've been working with the Fire Safe Councils in Siskiyou County. And what I'm going to do today is talk to you a little bit about a major project that we're doing down in the Hammond Ranch Fire District. Hammond Ranch Fire District covers about 30 square miles, about 20,000 acres. It's an extremely diverse area in terms of geography, topography, and the residents that live here. We have about 500 total structures in the area and well over 500 residents in the area, landowners, tenants. The last major fire swept through the area about 80 years ago. Since that time, significant portions of this have just been allowed to grow and restricted. So that results in a lot of ladder fuel, kind of a dangerous situation in terms of the abundance of it and the type of fuel, a lot of dead fuel. And so what we're really trying to do is break that path between the ground where a fire would normally start from a discarded cigarette or a unattended campfire to allowing that ladder fuel then to take that fire up into the crown of the trees, 50, 70 feet above the ground. The winds are stronger, and we've created what we call a crown fire. We can't fight a crown fire. The wind will simply pick those needles up, firebrands, blow them down, start another fire, start another fire, and start another fire. That's how that fire will rapidly move across.
I'm Larry Alexander. I'm the Executive Director of Northern California Resource Center, and we're a private nonprofit corporation, and we do just about everything to do with natural resources, and we help property owners weave through the regulatory process for projects. We do watershed restoration, we do botany, archaeology, wildlife, a lot of watershed restoration. And then the last 20 plus years, one of our focuses has been wildland fire, fire resiliency, fire protection, fire safety. The Hammond Ranch Fire Safe Council contacted us because we've been involved with sponsoring fire safe councils and helping get grants and stuff like that. So they contacted us and wanted to know if we'd be interested in applying for a grant on their behalf.
The first thing you do when you want to apply for a grant is you want to prepare a plan. And under the state regulations, that plan would be called a CWPP, a Community Wildfire Protection Plan. This project we broke into 4 phases. The first 2 phases were a chipping program, tremendously successful. The chipping program had over 100 people involved in it. The premise that's on it was that if you as a landowner are willing to take the time to bring the material down, stack it properly, make sure there's no snakes, rocks, or other things that will hurt the chipper, then we will come in and chip it for free and take care of our end of it. Phase 3 and 4 used a different type of equipment. It's called a masticator. This is a god-awful $300,000 piece of equipment that runs in tractor treads. It can raise up and down, and it goes out and it literally eats the ladder fuels.
My name is Tim Johnson. Lived in Scott Valley my whole life. I started working for Larry. We're running this machine 10 years ago now, and it's been good. We've done feeling a lot of good for the country and whatnot. And so this is a Fecon FTX 128. It gets around very well. You can maneuver in small areas and does very well in steep ground and stuff. You can go pretty much where a cat can't go. It'll climb good and get inside hills, and pretty impressive. It does a lot.
With an 80-year buildup of these ladder fuels, this dead, highly flammable material, a masticator goes in and eats it and converts it into ground fuel.
Well, yeah, so this work, it's pretty rewarding because you can go somewhere and where you couldn't even walk through, and in 3 hours it looks like a park.
So we go in basically with chainsaws, pole saws. We have a crew that works with the masticating machine in concert. They'll enter an area, do some thinning, spacing, following the trees, and sometimes we then come in behind that with the masticator to grind the slash. And then sometimes we have to make an entry or two just in stages just to get it down to where you can see what you're doing. So we wanted to demonstrate today some examples of fuels reduction work, some before and after, and some of the challenges that we face. Like here, an example, this is an untreated area here to our left. This area remains untreated because the property owner didn't want to participate in the program. And give you an example of the heavy fuel loading that's out here that makes a very high risk in terms of fire safety. And then the landowner right next door, it shows the same type of vegetation, same area, same fire risk that's been treated. And so you can see there's a lot of spacing. The understory fuel loading has been reduced, and it's a lot more fire safe.
The project that's being done here is doing a lot of good for the residents of Hammond Ranch. To be able to slow fire down will give CAL FIRE, Hammond Ranch, Forest Service time to get in there and suppress the fire before it becomes another campfire or another Bulls or another mill fire.
I love what's happening here. It's amazing what can be done with this big machine that just tramples down the brush and cleans it up really, really nice. I can't believe how grateful I am to see what's happening and how beautiful it's turning out to be. We first moved here, this was totally underbrush. We could not walk through from here to our meadow behind me. It was just that thick. This is a whole lot easier on us, having this machine come in and chomp it down and make it beautiful. I am so impressed.
Everybody's always been super, super happy, especially in a year like this when lots of things are burning and their house is safe. So we have a couple real good examples. We did some work a few years ago right across the way here where the mill fire burned through, and all the houses that we worked near, those houses all survived, and the houses that were right next door that the neighbors, that they didn't let us, those houses burnt. We've had that actually happen a few different times, one down the Klamath River as well. So it pretty much tells its own tale there.
A lot of people that move to our area here are from Southern California. They love our trees. They love our environment. Don't touch it because I love what it is. And they forget that fires are bigger than we are. And they will take off and take everything away from you that you love if we don't clip it back and put it under control. And you haven't asked for me to get my checkbook out.
Well, the neat part is this is government funded, so people are able to get their homes and their property protected and cleared that could never otherwise do it. They sign their name on a piece of paper, and that's pretty much it. We can go do their property. There's no money changes hands, no anything, and that's really neat. So otherwise, it could just never happen.
I appreciate you guys doing this kind of work. There's not a lot of people that are willing to volunteer time for somebody else's sake, and I'd like to see them go from the Oregon border all the way to Mexico if we could, you know.
Every ridge in the country ought to have lines down them for fire protection. We're losing towns like crazy, and the more of this work that can be done, absolutely the better.
I'm happy to say we have completed the project. We ended up treating a little over 50 acres. From beginning and end, from applying to the grant and finishing the last stick on the ground was a 6-year process. But everything that can be accomplished is a plus. But like I've said, there's so much to do. But it's just maintaining a positive attitude. We've got to do what we can do.